Toronto transit riders are being told to prepare for a system-wide shutdown, with workers planning to strike Friday. The union, representing over 11,000 frontline TTC workers, say little progress has been made at the negotiating table. They are advising riders to make other plans. Workers want better wages, benefits, and job security. The last Toronto transit strike was 16 years ago. I want to bring in Stuart Green now. He's the senior communications specialist with the TTC. Stuart, good morning. Appreciate you being with us. Both sides have been at the bargaining table. Has there been any progress made?
Yeah, we believe that the talks are productive. These things take time. They are complex labor negotiations. ATU represents the largest number of our employees, almost 12,000 frontline employees. But we're still at the table, and that's exactly where we want to be. The other thing that we take comfort from is that we've already signed new contracts with 3 of our other unions this year, including 2 CUPE locals. So we're very optimistic, but these things do take some time. So we're working toward getting that agreement before anything happens on midnight on Thursday night.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. So both sides at the table, but how close are you?
Well, I'll leave the negotiations at the table. Needless to say that there are a number of issues that we're still discussing and working through. The fact that we're still at the table is what we need to keep in mind, because that's exactly where you want to be in these labor negotiations. But I'll leave the details of what's being discussed at the table.
If the strike does start midnight Thursday going into Friday morning, what is that going to look like for the city of Toronto, for the thousands of people who rely on the TTC?
Well, it's actually a magnitude of millions of people who rely on the TTC.
Yeah.
You just need to look back to 2008. If there's a complete withdrawal of nearly 12,000 frontline employees, there would be no TTC service. It's awful to have to say it, but that is a potential outcome. That's exactly why we're still at the table and working very, very hard to get that fair and reasonable agreement, to make sure that we avoid that inconvenience for all of our customers.
What's your message to commuters? How should they prepare?
Well, the best thing that we can do is advise people to stay tuned to stations like yours and others. Keep an eye on the media. Keep an eye on our social media channels. Keep an eye on our website. We will have regular updates when there's anything to update on. But if you are planning to travel on Thursday into Friday, you need to check ahead of time. But as I say, we are still at the table, and our objective here is to reach a fair agreement that avoids any kind of action. We're optimistic that can be done, but it may be down to the wire.
Down to the wire. So the last time the TTC went on strike 16 years ago, the government ordered staff to go back to work. It lasted for a weekend, and up until recently, the TTC hadn't been legally permitted to strike. So what should people know? What is going to happen if there is a strike on Friday? How long could it last?
Well, it'll really depend on what that looks like. Again, I hate to have to keep saying it, but we do want to reach an agreement and avoid any kind of action. But if there is a full withdrawal of labor by the ATU, there would simply be no TTC service. We couldn't sustain the system. It's mechanics, it's operators. So we want all of those people on the job. We want all of our customers to get where they're going and to reach that agreement. But obviously, there are different options that could come into play. It could be rotating. There could be other things. But there are just too many scenarios right now and too many uncertainties, and the focus really is on getting that agreement at the table.
Stuart Green is the senior communications specialist with the TTC. Stuart, please stay close.